Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is me Vidya from Millennial Mommyhood, and in my today's video we are going to talk about how you can choose a perfect preschool for your child. With everything coming back and settling into a normal state, people have started looking for preschools for their children. Though the classes have not started now, but they will soon start, and nobody wants to miss their favorite school. If you have planned that you are not going to homeschool your child, but instead you are going to preschool, send the child to a preschool or a play group, there are certain confusions that usually happen. And as a new parent, so when we are talking about preschooling a child, definitely the parent is pretty young, and they are maybe it's their first child or maybe the second child, but the parent is totally clueless, and the learning curve have completely changed after this whole pandemic thing. The child may not be knowing what usually children of that particular age know if they are going to a preschool, or there are so many other things, and it is so confusing at times that choosing that perfect preschool with so many things in the market, so many advertisements going on, so many marketing strategies and things going on, sometimes it becomes a very tough task. Some 20 or 15 years before, it was so easy. This whole system of preschool was not given much of an importance. Even when we were studying, the preschool was just supposed to be a place where we go and enjoy and other things and learn a bit, and that's it. Not much of an importance though. And most of the people would have not even gone to a preschool, and rather than straight away joined into first standard or something like that. But then over the period of time, due to so much of researches that have happened, and due to the whole concept of early education and early learning and its importance that is trending around, people now are aware that this preschool or this early learning for the child is equally important. If you ask me, I will always say that this starting part of the child's life, that is early learning, is much more important than what the child is going to do afterwards, maybe after first standard or maybe after fifth standard. So giving a good base to your child when the child is in a lower class, or maybe in that particular part of the life, is pretty important. And if you're homeschooling your child, again you have a whole variety of things that you can try with. But if you're planning to send your child to a preschool, you have to make sure that it's a good place, because your choice can actually go bad or sometimes can be really good. So based on my experience as a teacher, I have worked somewhere, and based on my experience of what I've seen and what I've heard, and after collecting a lot of resources, a lot of reviews from people all over, all around me, I have finally made this video. And in this video I'm going to tell you a lot of things that you should consider if you're planning to choose a preschool for your child. So make a checklist of all these things and start ticking off one by one, and by the end of the whole checklist you will understand that which are the schools that you probably want your child to go into. First and the most important thing is distance, proximity. Now when you're talking about preschool, naturally we are talking about a child who is very small. It even starts from 1.5, it goes up to 4 or 5. So children of that age are not supposed to travel long distances to go to their preschool. And now we are so lucky to have so many schools around us, right? It's not even like few years back when the number of preschools were pretty less, but now we have a lot around us. So all we need to do is tick off or remove the schools which are more than 3 kilometers away from your home. 3 kilometers is the maximum radius that you should be looking for, and any school which comes beyond that, you can just remove it. Now this again depends on the place that you are staying. What if you don't have any school in a 3 kilometer radius, or maybe what if you don't have a good school in that radius? Make sure that you're looking for a school which is as near to your house as possible, especially during the starting years, because the child is very small. Traveling for a long distance for a long period of time early in the morning can actually make the child very tired, and the whole concept of sending a fresh child to the school to learn and gather a lot of information and play around with the friends and all, half of their energy will go in traveling. So always prefer a school which is as near to your house as possible. What you can do is you can start writing the name of schools that are near your house or a bit far away from your house. Categorize them as less than 1 kilometer, or less than 2 kilometer, 3 kilometer, beyond 3 kilometer, and see if you have any schools within that particular radius, and if you can go for that. Now that you have listed down few schools which are near to your house, I'm going to tell you the next things which you can help you to narrow down and maybe strike off some of the schools or maybe go for some of the schools. So the next thing that you need to take care of is security. Now we all know about n number of instances that happen around us. Children are not safe even with at home with a nanny. There are so many cases of wrongdoings and things that are happening with the child around in your house itself or near you itself. So when you're sending your child to a preschool, you have to make sure that the child is in a perfectly secure system, because the child is very small to himself or herself understand that this is something which is dangerous to me and I should stay away from that particular thing. So security is one very important thing. And how can you check whether the place is secure or not? The first and the most important thing is that the preschool should have a good boundary. It should have a good compound wall. If the preschool is in a place wherein there is no compound wall to protect it from outside people or outside thing, or protect the children from running outside, then you can directly just cancel that school. We don't need a school which do not have a proper compound wall or a boundary wall, or where people can easily come in or go out, children can easily run out. So having a good secured compound wall is something which is very, very important. The next thing is go around the school, and always, this is very important. So when you are planning to go and check for a school, physically go and check. Do not go by whatever you see online or whatever you hear through a telephonic conversation. Instead, go and inspect the campus by yourself. The campus should be big enough, but it should not be so big that the child get lost or something where it is like very confusing. So it should be something which suits children of that particular age. The next thing is that they should have a good security system. It comes to when we are talking about security system, the first and the most important thing is to have a good security guard or guards. So they should be well trained, and there should be a security guard who should not allow any kind of unknown people or people who are coming without appointments or anything to just enter the campus. Similarly, should not leave the children just without inspecting, or just leave children without a proper permission or anything. So checking that is the next important thing that you should be doing. Definitely there are schools which are fitted with CCTV, though it is not particularly mandatory, but it is important to see this also, that the school is well covered with CCTV system, gives an extra sense of security. So this is something that is of very importance. And next thing is that you have to ask them what are the rules of dropping or picking up the child from the school. So you have to check is it just any random person who can come and pick up the child from the school and go, or is there any particular person who can only come and pick up the child? So the place where I was working, they used to have an ID card kind of thing for the parents. It was kind of gate pass, and only those people whose photos are registered or are stuck into that are the people who can come and take in their child. So there are certain different kinds of security system that are followed by different kinds of schools. So you can ask on that. This pickup and dropping facility checkup is very, very important, just to make sure that any random person don't come and just pick up your child and go. And if we are talking about security, we also have to consider staffs, which are equally important, starting from the non-teaching staffs to the teaching staff, management, and everybody who's involved in the school should have a very good attitude or very friendly behavior with the child, where the child feels secure, and you as a parent should feel secure to send the child to a certain place. So this is something which you should definitely look forward for. And when we are talking about safety, it is not just limited to these things, but limited to many other small things as well. Check for the factor that the bathrooms are safe for children, especially for small children. It should not be something where the child can go in and put a latch and lock themselves up. Check that if there is somebody who accompanies the child when the child wants to go to a washroom, or child wants to go to take something from outside or anything, to accompany them if the child is particularly small. Next thing is that you also have to check the toys and the things that they are using. It should not be something which are very small, or something which is having a lot of choking hazard. or something in which the paints are chipping off, because usually we say that we need to avoid the kind of toys in which the paints are chipping off because it may contain lead. So you have to check on that. They are not using very old worn and torn toys. If it is plushies or soft toys, they are washed and cleaned properly, the area is maintained well. And also if they have any kind of outdoor playing equipments like the swing or the slide or anything, you have to make sure that they are well maintained and not something which is broken. So these are the things, extra added things that you should be checking to make sure that the child is in a secure or a safe environment. So when we are talking about safety, let's not forget about something which is known as hygiene and cleanliness. Now we all are aware of the importance of these two particular terms. Throughout the pandemic, we have been particularly careful about it. Let's take care of the same thing when we are trying to enroll your child into a play school. We all know that small children are prone to getting infections very easily. So you have to ask on different factors like whether how the school is cleaned, or basically these are the things that you have to notice, whether the trash is removed or whether there's a pile of garbage that is lying around, a pile of leaves that are just dumped in the playground, the classrooms are not neat, it's completely filled up of dust and other things. So these are certain things that you need to check, and you have to make sure that it is clean, whether there are washing washing solutions or hand washing solutions that are kept in the washroom, and if there is any kind of potty incidents or something that happens, because children are very small when they are going to preschool, right? So how is that handled, and other things. So if your child is in diapering state, if somebody who's not potty trained, you need to ask them that what are the things that are followed. Some of the preschools even say that they do not take children who are not potty trained, but there are many other places who accept children who are not potty trained. So you need to ask on that factor as well, that what are the things that are covered. If in case there's a potty accident that happens with the child, if your child is not potty trained, then how is that handled and other things. And also, what are the policies that the child is sick? Is it something like the child they come to school, they let the child to come to school, the child is still sick, or these are the things that you can openly ask the school. Coming to the next thing, and it is none other than the teaching methodology that is used in the school. Now there are n number of teaching methodology that is used in the school. There are certain schools which follow Montessori, a certain number of schools which follow Waldorf, some schools follow Reggio Emilia, some schools follow like Canadian syllabus, some schools follow a blended kind of learning wherein they follow Montessori also combined with a play-based learning and so many other things. You have to openly ask them, but before you ask them, you make sure that you know that what are these teaching methodologies and what are the differences about it. If you want, I can do a detailed video about different kinds of teaching methodologies, especially for preschools that are available in India right now, and maybe you can have a better idea before you go and speak to the to the school staff, because they may say that ma'am, I'm having Montessori with a mix of this one, it's a blended learning and all. So when you know what these things mean, you know what your child is going to learn and what the experience of the child is going to be. And we all know how important this early part of the life is, and it is very important to choose that particular kind of learning pattern or curriculum which suits your child and suits your requirement as well. Now some of the people, they love more of freestyle learning. That is something which I prefer. I prefer more of freestyle learning, where the child is not subjected to a lot of tests or other things, but there is a very gradual and gentle approach to teaching and taking assessments or whatever. And this is something which is followed in Montessori. But again, Montessori is a huge term which can be used by any random schools around the world, and there is no restriction to that. So you need to ask on that particular factor as well. But some people may even like to have a very structured approach to teaching, wherein there are definite number of classes, periods, assessments and other things that happen. So it's totally upon you and totally upon your decision and the kind of thing that your child is more interested in, now that he or she have been with you for since so long, and you have been homeschooling your child. You know what are the kind of things that suits your child, so you can choose accordingly. The next important thing is to consider the attitude of the staff that is teaching or taking care of your children over there. Now we all know that it's a phase where the child is leaving you and going and staying in the school for a long number of hours, and it is also very important to make sure that what are the kind of people who are handling his problems. We know that our child is prone to have tantrums and other problems, especially when there's this separation thing where you are taking your child and you're sending him to a new school, and you're away from that place. There will be a lot of issues that some of the children follow, means some of the children who may go through. I have seen this particularly, like if it's a class of 10 students, I have seen some like 5 or 6 of them having terrible meltdowns wherein they cry their lungs out and they are not ready to eat, they are not ready to do anything, but they just keep on crying. Other set of children are there who are so happy to go and meet new friends and teachers, new place and other things. So we have to make sure that the staff who are around them, the teaching staff, the caregivers and other people who are around them should be ready to accept the child and make sure that any kind of problem comes, they welcome it with a big smile, instead of yelling at them like, can you just be quiet, you're so big, you're 3 years old or you're 4-year-old, can you just be quiet, and you don't have to cry, your mama will be back. So instead of that, maybe they can distract them with something else, or maybe they can handle them in a different way. There are different teachers who have different approaches. There is nothing right or nothing wrong in that, until and unless the teacher is not yelling her lungs out at the child. So you have to see the attitude of the teacher and how does that work. Giving a surprise visit to the school, or talking to the parents who have already had their children studying in that particular play school, is something which will definitely help. The next thing you need to consider is the number of staffs that are working over there. Now, if the number of staffs and the number of students have a very confusing ratio, if there are a lot of students and very less number of staffs to handle them, there'll be a lot of chaos, there'll be a lot of tired staffs, there'll be a lot of grumpy staffs, and that happens. Okay, teachers at the end of the days are humans, and if we as parents are finding it difficult to handle 1 or 2 or 3 children at max, imagine having 10 to 12 of them in the same class. So it is always good to have a good number of teachers, good number of faculties, good number of caregivers or ayahs, like how we say in our language, to take care of the child, to take care of the child's need, in order to make sure that everybody is at peace. The teacher is able to handle what she have to handle, the ayahs are able to smoothly take care of all the needs that the children are asking for or they require, and the children are also at peace. The next thing to consider is the area where the child is going to sit or where the child is going to play. Go around and see that it is not something which is very cluttered and something which is very small and compact with so many students just stuffed inside and teachers inside, so many books and things kept around. No, it should be a bit free, wherein the child can move around and play. Even if we are talking about a Montessori system where there is a lot of movement around the class, or even if we are talking about the traditional system, the classes should not be jam packed so that there is no space for the child to move at all. Children in preschool are not expected to sit like the elder one in their table and chair and study for a long period of hour without moving around. So you have to make sure that there is enough space. You have to make sure that the furnitures are of their size, they are safe, they are not pretty heavy or something which can tumble over them. That is also very important, like how we always say that it is very important to anchor the heavy vehicles of wardrobes or cabinets and things to the wall, so that if the child climbs, it does not fall on the child. It is also important to see the same thing. Usually in all the play schools, the cupboards and other things will be low floor, it will not be very tall, and even if it is very tall, it will have a very good base so that, or balance, so that it does not tumble and fall. But still, as a parent, you have all the right to go and check that there is no safety hazard or anything dangerous which is there where your child is going to sit and study for long hours. Next thing is about food. Now, some of the schools provide food, while some of the schools tell the child to carry their own lunch, and some of the schools even have a particular timetable which is to be followed when the child is going to the school. For example, Monday they are supposed to bring this, Tuesday they are supposed to bring this. There are certain restrictions in some of the schools that you are not supposed to bring this kind of food to the school, and so on. So if your child is getting food from the school, well, the school is providing the food, you have to ask them what are the kind of things that you give, what is the condition of the kitchen. You need to walk in directly to the kitchen and see that how cooking is happening, whether they are cleaning up everything, whether sanitation, proper hygiene is maintained, whether the plates and glass and other things are also cleaned up, thoroughly and everything is maintained in a proper order. So in case you are sending lunch box with a child, it is also very important to ask what is the method that they follow where the child eats the food. Is it something where the child is rushed, where the child is told to stuff the food as soon as possible and wind up, or do they give them some extra time so that the child can finish it? It can also have a very gentle way of a very gentle approach, where if the child is very slow, they can be kind of kind of encouraged, because they have a group of friends now, and when they see other people eating fast, they tend to eat faster. If they are little slow, are they pressurized to eat it fast, wind up and close, and are they yelled at, or are they slowly allowed to eat and finish, and over the period of time let them kind of fasten up their eating process within the given amount of time. So all these things are simple, very simple things, but something that you should definitely check at the school. The next important thing which we cannot ever miss is the financial thing. Now all the schools have their own different kinds of fee structure, and the same set of schools, the same brand of schools can have different fees depending on their region, depending on the city or the place where they are located in. Now it is very important to ask them that what is the fee structure of that place, what is the method that they collect. Is it collected as a whole in the beginning of the year, which some of the schools do, or is it something which is given term wise or in installments like that? And also, is there any additional fees, for example additional admission fee or fee for transportation kit or lunch and other things, other stuffs that is added up? What are those fees? So jot everything down together and see what is the yearly charge that you are going to spend to your child. Now if you are talking about shelling down money, it totally depends on your family. If you're shelling down approx 2 lakhs or 3 lakhs or 4 lakhs or whatever in play school, but we know that when you're sending your child to primary school, when your child is going to join first standard and all, you need to shell down a huge amount of money. So you can't keep spending everything during the preschool stage. So you need to ask all these things. Also, very important thing is that it may happen that you join a school after seeing everything, but over the period of time your experience says that that school is not good, or maybe your child is not adjusted to that particular school, or maybe you have to shift. So you need to ask whether it is refundable. Is it anything wherein we are giving the fee, and if we need to take a transfer or we need to pull out of the school, is there is the whole money that is going to go, or is it a certain part of that which is going to be refunded, and so on. So these are certain things that you definitely need to check. A very next important thing is the parent feedback, which I have already spoken about in one of my previous points. Talk to the parents who have who have sent their students to that particular school, and ask them how their experience was, and ask them how their child was able to adjust to that place, how cordial the staff is, how friendly they are, and other things. So have a good conversation with them and understand. In the same way, you get n number of reviews online as well. Like if you type the name of the school with the area, you will see there will be Google reviews wherein people would have given good and nice comments and everything. Go through that and understand that what are the parents view regarding that particular school that you are sending to. Is it something which is okay, which can be ignored, or is it something which is very important and maybe you should not go and join in that particular school? So make sure that you are looking at the reviews, because that is also equally important. Credibility of the school is something which have to be added to this particular point. Every schools now have their own social media pages, their websites and other things. So when you're checking the Google reviews, also go to these kinds of pages, check their Instagram page, check their Facebook page, check their website, and you will have a clear-cut idea as to what you're going to get from that particular school. See the events and the other things that are followed in that particular school. See whether it is particularly updated every time, and what are the kind of things that are happening in the school. You will get a fair idea from that. So make sure that you check on all these factors as well. Is having a very transparent communication between the parent and the teachers or the staff or whatever. So it is very important to see that it's a school hiding things, or are they having a very transparent form of communication with the parents. If there is any concern or any grievances that the parent needs to go and address to someone over there, are there staffs or are there management who are ready to accept this, or are they just shooing you off from the main gate and telling you to just go? Okay, so these are something very important to make sure that they are having a good transparency when it comes to a parent and the school staff relation or communication. Extracurricular activities have to be given importance. Preschool children are not meant to be sitting in the desk or chair or inside the classroom and study for long hours. They need to have their extracurricular activities, which includes a lot of outdoor play, a lot of pretend play, a lot of open-ended play, a lot of collaborative play and other things. So and also a lot of events. So many schools are there which keep small events like sports day and other things. There are certain schools which do not give importance to such things, thinking that these child are very small and they actually do not need it, but giving importance to such things are also very important. So this is something which you can understand if you talk to the school, or if you see the brochure of the school, or if you see follow the social media websites. You will have a fair enough idea that what are the kind of extracurricular activities that are followed in the school. Guys, I have tried to list down almost all the important thing that I as a mom is going to go and check when I'm enrolling my child into a preschool or a play school or anything. Make sure that you also go through the entire thing and you understand how everything works. Have a thorough checkup about each and everything before you decide to send your child to a particular school. The first years of the child's life is very important. If you're homeschooling, everything is in your hand, but if you're sending your child to preschool, that can have a huge impact on the child in a positive or a negative direction. So make sure you're going through all the points, jot it down, work on it, narrow down on few schools, go to those schools, check, cancel, and finally come to that one school where you want to enroll your child. That's it for now, guys. In my next video, I will definitely come and talk about the different teaching methodologies and how these methodologies are different from each other and what are the things that are followed in India. We'll talk about all the methodologies that are used in preschool time. I'm not talking about the CBSE, ICSE, but I'm talking about Montessori, Waldorf and other methods. So we will talk about that in the next video. I will prepare for that so that you are prepared to go and talk to the school staff. So until next video, this is me Vidya. If you have not subscribed to my channel, do it. If you have not followed me on Instagram, do that. The link is there in the description box. If you like the video, if you felt that it was useful, give a thumbs up and drop in a comment that what is the kind of video that you want to see next. Bye.